Lactantius, The Deaths of the Persecutors, Episode 8. Extremis temporibus Tiberii Caesaris ut scriptum legimus, Dominus noster, Iesus Christus a Iudaiis, cruciatus est, post diem decimum calendas Apriles, duobus geminis consulibus. Lactantius has now finished the introduction, the dedicatory portion, to Donatus, and now he begins the story proper. He says, Extremis temporibus, during the very last days, the final times, of Tiberius Caesar. Extremis temporibus is neuter, plural, and ablative, and it is an ablative of time within which. There are in Latin 3 time constructions. There's the ablative of the point of time, there's the ablative of time within which, or the range of time, you might say, and there is the accusative of the extent or duration of time. This one is the middle range. During the final days of Tiberius Caesar, ut scriptum legimus. Notice this is a purely parenthetical clause. When we have ut with the indicative, it is parenthetical, and it means when or as, typically. As we read written, now the question arises, where would Lactantius have read this? Well, perhaps in the Gospel accounts. That's the most likely explanation. During that time, our Lord Jesus Christ, Dominus noster Iesus Christus, here is these are each masculine, singular, and nominative, of course, as the subject, and this is an indeclinable Iesus. Our Lord Jesus Christ, a Iudaiis, by the Jews, cruciatus est, was crucified. This, of course, echoes or references the creed, the Symbolum Apostolorum, cruciatus, etc., sepultus, and so forth. He was crucified by the Jews, and this is an ablative of agency, very common construction, the ablative of agency, when used with a passive verb, which is what cruciatus est is. And then we have this important time construction, post diem decimum calendas Apriles. The Roman calendar is notoriously difficult for moderns to figure out, and there has been a great deal of ink spilt on these various topics. But the calends of April is April 1st. Now we count backward from that to get this particular date, and we have to count backward inclusively from April 1st. When we count back 10 days, including April 1st in our calculation, we get the date of March 23. So this is when, according to Lactantius information, this is when Christ was crucified, on the 10th day of the calends of April, during duobus geminis consulibus, while the 2 gemini, these are individuals, were consuls. Now each date in the Roman year is calculated by those who held the consulship during that time period. Standard traditional Roman dating. The consuls, there were always duo consules, these were joint executives, and the years were dated by them. There are several different systems. You could date the Roman year ab urbe condita, from the founding of the city, which was 753 BC. And you can also date by the consulates, which is very common in Caesar, Tacitus, other Roman historians. So while the 2 gemini were consuls, and these consuls were Ruberius and Fufius Geminus, those were their names. It is during then that Christ was crucified. Tiberius Caesar, as you can see here, ruled from 14 to 37 AD. So like any good historian, Lactantius is very concerned to set the time of the events which he is describing.